Today, we're talking about something that's way more than just a piece of technology. We're diving into a new kind of geopolitical weapon, one that's quietly shaking the entire global financial system. This is the story of how a pretty simple digital tool became America's secret weapon in the fight for economic dominance. Okay, imagine this for a second. You live in a country where the currency is just collapsing. Every single day, your life savings are worth less and less. Now, what if I told you that you could just convert all of it into US dollars right there on your phone without ever setting foot in a bank? Well, that's not a hypothetical. It's the reality for millions, and it's the absolute key to this whole story. So, what's the magic trick here? Well, it's this really elegant piece of tech called a stablecoin. You've heard of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, right? Famous for those insane price swings. Stablecoins are the exact opposite. They're designed to hold a consistent value, and they do that by being pegged, or kind of anchored, to a stable asset. And the most popular one by far is the good old US dollar. And that's the bottom line, really. While traditional crypto is this wild roller coaster ride used mostly for speculation, stablecoins are more like a safe harbor. They weren't built for gambling, they were built for something practical, saving your money and making payments in a currency that won't just, evaporate overnight. For years, this was just a useful, kind of niche bit of financial tech. But then President Donald Trump came along and transformed it into a seriously powerful tool of American influence. Let's get into how he pulled it off. So in July 2025, this landmark piece of legislation gets signed into law. Now, the official name is a mouthful, but everybody just calls it by its acronym, the Genius Act. And its goal was nothing short of massive, to take the power of stablecoins and use it for America's strategic advantage. In the law itself, deceptively simple. It basically says, hey, you want to issue a stablecoin pegged to our dollar? Great, go for it. You just have to back every single digital dollar with one real dollar's worth of super safe assets. And here is the real kicker. Those assets can only be one of two things, US cash or, more importantly, US Treasury bonds. And this really shows you the stakes. This wasn't some minor regulation that nobody cared about. No, experts immediately called it one of the most consequential, maybe even dangerous financial laws in modern American history. It was setting the stage for a huge shift in global power. So how exactly does a simple rule like that become a geopolitical masterstroke? Well, the true power of the Genius Act, the real magic, is in its diabolical two-part strategy. Let's break it down. Okay, part one is pretty straightforward. It's the obvious bit. Every time someone, anywhere in the world, buys a dollar stablecoin to protect their savings, the company that issues it has to turn around and buy US government bonds. This creates this huge built-in market for American debt, which drives down borrowing costs and basically gets the rest of the world to help fund the US government. But here's where the real genius comes in. It's the hidden part. The act has this crucial little detail. It bans paying interest on these stablecoins. Now, why on earth would that matter? Well, it makes them great for everyday transactions, but pretty unattractive for, say, China's central bank to just hoard as reserves. And that prevents the US dollar's value from skyrocketing, which is what keeps American exports cheap and competitive. It's a way to spread the dollar's power without shooting your own economy in the foot. Now, this isn't just some theory cooked up in a boardroom. Let's look at how this strategy is playing out right now, on the ground, in what you could call the first major battlefield, Pakistan. The situation in Pakistan created the absolute perfect storm. Since 2021, the local currency, the rupee, lost about half of its value against the dollar. Can you imagine? People's life savings were just being vaporized by inflation. They were desperate for an alternative. And guess what? They found that alternative in crypto. We're not talking small numbers here. Pakistanis are now doing an incredible $300 billion in crypto transactions every year. I mean, when your national currency is on fire, you don't really wait around for permission to find a lifeboat. So why Pakistan? I mean, what made it the perfect petri dish? Just look at these numbers. You've got this massive youth population, 60% of people are under 30, so they're totally comfortable with digital tech, and at the same time, only about 1 in 5 people even has a traditional bank account. For them, a digital dollar wallet on a smartphone isn't some complex new thing. It's a lifeline. It's just easier. And here is the geopolitical checkmate. Pakistan is a huge part of China's big Belt and Road global infrastructure plan. But every single time a young person in Karachi chooses to save their money in a US dollar stablecoin, it's a small vote against the Chinese yuan. The US is winning this quiet financial war, one digital dollar at a time, right in China's own backyard.
Look, what's happening in Pakistan isn't some isolated thing. It's actually the very beginning of a global trend that has absolutely staggering financial consequences.
A report from a huge bank, Standard Chartered, just dropped a bombshell prediction. They said that by 2028, we could see a jaw-dropping $1 trillion flow out of traditional bank accounts in emerging markets and straight into dollar-peg stablecoins. $1 trillion. Just let that number sink in. The report even named the countries most at risk, all of them dealing with similar issues, like shaky currencies and high inflation. And the consequences of that much money leaving the system, I mean, they'd be devastating. It would completely cripple local banking systems and basically make any decision by their central banks totally useless. So, what we're really watching here is the start of a new kind of global conflict. This isn't about claiming territory anymore, it's about controlling the technology that controls our money. Of course, China isn't just sitting on the sidelines. They've announced their own plans for a UN-backed stablecoin, but they've got a huge problem. The US strategy is smart because it taps into this decentralized, user-driven network that already exists. China's approach? It's all top-down, state-controlled. And that's a much, much harder sell to people who are looking for financial freedom.
This really is the new battlefield. The contest for global influence in the 21st century isn't going to be won with aircraft carriers and missiles. It's going to be won by whoever builds the most efficient, the most trusted, and the most widespread digital financial network. It's a war fought with code.
And this kind of reframes the whole thing, doesn't it? Whether we know it or not, we're all participants in this. Every single time someone chooses to use a digital dollar over their local currency, they are casting a vote. They're making a choice that helps shape the future of money for everyone. So, as the digital dollar quietly invades smartphones all over the globe, the real question isn't whether the system is going to change. It's how fast it's going to happen, and who's going to be left standing when the music stops. The war for the future of money, the war for your wallet, has already begun.